Hello, everyone. This is Miss Choicey, the founder of I Live to Encourage nonprofit organization, and I'm coming on here to discuss our Open Visions book club today, and we're going to be reading um, the Father Daughter Talk by R.C. Blakes Jr. And we're going over chapters 9 through 12, I believe, and that's going to finalize the father daughter talk today. And then our next book is going to be Queenology for February. So you want to go ahead and purchase your book, Queenology by R.C. Blakes Jr. as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into it, right? So we started off discussing chapter 9 last week, but we ran out of time. So it says here, let me introduce you to the game 101. So it says, chapter 9, the games that men play. So I'm going to read a little bit, then I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to, just kind of summarize the chapter, because I said 9 through 12, right? So for the sake of time, we're going to summarize these chapters. And also, you can comment and let me know your thoughts, because I want to know what y'all think, right, about the book. So it starts off like this. It says, as a young man in the inner city of New Orleans, Louisiana, I grew up across the street from a very, very popular pimp. This was in an area called Holly Grove. Not only did I live near him, I had favor with this ghetto businessman. We would often talk, and he allowed me to explore his lifestyle of fast cars, big money, and beautiful women up close and personal. As a young urban male, before my spiritual commitment, I was captivated. I saw how a man can entice a woman psychologically and emotionally, and from that point, convince her to go in any direction of his choosing. I learned from observing the best of the worst, what the game is, and how it is played. Many women become involved with men like this and don't fully recognize what is happening to them. So he has a scenario here. He says, consider this scenario. The scene could be duplicated outside of almost any church or club in America. There's a woman crying and a man trying to keep a straight face but can't hide his smirk. They've been dating for 6 months. She actually thought he was the one. She believed it so much that she cooked, cleaned, checked in, and even met his sexual needs against her opposing Christian values and home training. The conversation goes like this. Him, I just think we need some space. Baby, I'm dealing with stuff that you wouldn't understand. It's a man thing. Her, what didn't I do? Where did I go wrong? How can I improve? Him, nothing wrong with you. I'm just stressed about some things and I need to get my head together. I'm sorry. She's brokenhearted and depressed for months and perhaps years, while he leaves that conversation and goes on a date with another woman that same night. What's the breakdown, y'all? What's the breakdown? So she sought to make a life with him. He only sought to spend a few nights with her in bed. It was merely a game. So to reiterate, a young woman should be wise and not believe everything a man says he is or appears to be. Many times it is purely make believe. An insightful, mature, and godly woman learns to pray about the individual she is considering and ask God to guide her with the compass of wisdom and discernment. It's amazing what the Lord will reveal if you ask for his guidance. And it gives us a scripture here, 1 John 4 and 1. Make sure y'all write that down and go check that out yourself. 1 John 4 and 1. And it says, as the scripture tells us, beloved, Believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. That's First John 4:1. It is important for the woman to be alert and aware because much time may be wasted with a man who is just playing games. It's best to know the game, recognize it for what it is, and bring a swift end to playful situations. To a great extent, we have society to blame for the dynamics of the drama men inflict on women. Our culture breeds deception into the male female connection. We are conditioned to perform the roles we play as men and women. The average American home, ideally, daughters are raised to believe that a woman should maintain her virginity, get married, be faithful, and have children by her husband, and that her husband and family is the ultimate accomplishment. On the other hand, there are sons who are raised to think that being a man involves making money and managing multiple sexual relationships, often with many women at the same time. Men learn to make a game of anything and win at whatever they do. So listen to this. Many raise their sons, either directly or indirectly, to think that womanizing is natural and anything different is strange. Hmm. Y'all put in the comments how you feel about that. In our world, the man is brought up to view all of life as a competition in which he is either winning or losing, based on money, women, and toys. The woman is taught to be chaste and faithful, while the man is viewed as socially awkward if he adheres to the Christian ethics of abstinence. She is taught to refrain from sex, while his peers teach him to become sexually active as soon as possible. It doesn't make sense. But the same uncle who talks to his niece about virginity will turn around and give his nephew condoms and a graphic lesson in sexual education. Okay, so it says the tension between male and female is created by our upbringing. She is trained to build a strong defense, while he is encouraged to break down the barriers. Listen to this. The two conflicting agendas create the necessity for deception because he, the man, has to make her, the woman, believe that he wants what she wants. From this fact, we can see why men and women are misfiring most of the time. We have two totally different objectives. So I'm going to read this, a little bit of this, and then we're going to, let me see, I might be able to, you know what, I'm going to try to finish this. It says here, the power of agreement. In Old Testament days, the prophet Amos asked this important question. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Amos 3:3. Make sure y'all write that down and go check it out. Amos 3:3. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Today, the issue needs to be addressed more than ever. The word agreed in Hebrew means to meet someone at an appointed time. How can a couple journey together unless they see eye to eye on being in the same place at the same time? How can they? Our culture has simultaneously and directly indoctrinated us to these two polar opposite perspectives that even women who desperately pray for a decent man will choose a dog. Because of her brainwashing, she will look at a man who is celibate and respectful as a weird freak. She will pray for a clean and godly man, and when one shows up, she'll find herself not attracted to him and doesn't know why. Listen to this. Women have been conditioned to be drawn to bad boys and don't even realize it. This confusion is accompanied by the media constantly showing images of promiscuous men being cool, good looking, successful, smooth, and the one to be with. The dominant male society has mastered preconditioning the woman through movies, print, home training, music, etc., to view certain behavior as acceptable for men and unacceptable for women. The game necessities the game necessitates that there be a different set of rules for each sex. Somehow, many are attracted to a man who has been around the block a few times. For some, it would not be a turn on if a man were to be inexperienced. At the same time, the person she is drawn to is the perfect candidate to cheat on her and leave her in tears. Sad but true, she covets what she sees on the album covers in the romance novels and who she sees starring in the movies. She wants the exact kind of man that can't commit. Today's women are not stupid by any means. They are trained by the dominant male culture to view this type of male figure as appealing. This is how sexually exploitive men continue to run the game on every generation of women. Listen to this. A woman has to reconcile her real needs in a man versus the superficial images that are our world has convinced her are worth her time. Listen to this. The experienced man knows how to manipulate the woman's internal conflict. And I'm going to tell you two more quotes from chapter 9. It says, the use of camouflage makes the hunted perfectively. Hold on. The use of camouflage makes the hunted perfectly at ease in a life threatening situation. It says, the man is the hunter and the woman is the prey. Like every expert hunter, he camouflages his true identity from the target. Listen to this. Every woman should start with the view that a man is guilty until proven innocent. The right man won't take long to separate himself from the deceit. Listen to this right here. Let me see. Okay, he says here, this is R.C. Blake's talking. He says, I am often accused by my daughters of being too pessimistic. I might be saying that wrong, but I can't pronounce it. Pessimistic. I am often accused by my daughters of being too pessimistic when it comes to the trustworthiness of men. This negative viewpoint originates in part from my earlier personal experiences and misleading the emotions of women and taking advantage of them. For my daughter's sake, I would rather be guilty of uh, pessimism and awaken them to consciousness than to be silent and see them broken by deception. Wow. So R.C. Blake's used to be the man that he's warning us about in the father daughter talk, right? And I think that's great that he learned from his past. And not only that, he could have just stopped at teaching his own daughters that he actually uh, gave birth to, right? That he brought into this world. But he took a further step to teach other women in the world, his spiritual daughters, right, is what he called us, and warn us about different things. And a lot of us, like me, I knew a lot of stuff that was going on because I was blessed to have two fathers in my life, my real father and my stepfather. So when I seen this book, a lot of the stuff that I seen in here, I had pretty much already knew, but I felt like I should take it a step farther because take it a step further. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. I felt like I should take it a step further and discuss it in my book club because I know a lot of women that I have came across that have the complete opposite thinking of um, the male society. And I felt like with them hearing me discuss it, they can go purchase the book or maybe, whatever, somebody has to help the other person, right? We can't just keep all the information to ourselves, right? So I took it upon myself to choose this book, The Father Daughter Talk, as the first book for 2026 to start our book club, because I felt like it was some very, very good information here. Not only that, I love that he used the scripture reference as well. So that was chapter 9, how the games are played. Now we're going to jump over to chapter 10, and the title is Most Men Are Actors Simply Playing a Role. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this, and then I'm going to read the quotes that he has, because for the sake of time, if we can get to the 12th chapter, yeah, I'm just going to read a little bit and then give you the quotes. He has quotes in every chapter. So it says, most men are actors simply playing a role. I cannot emphasize this enough. Most men are not who they say they are or appear to be. Those who are authentic are few and far between. This is true for many reasons. Some men feel a sense of inferiority and presume a need to inflate their profile to create a false measure of security. Okay, it says, so others have flaws they attempt to mask with a fake image. Some simply feel the need to manufacture a persona they desire, but for whatever reason they have not attained. On a more diabolical level, a man will assume a false identity for the purpose of deceiving a woman. The deception is aimed at compromising her defenses relative to sexual abstinence. So the quote here for chapter 10, it says, a man will become anything a woman needs him to be in order to go to bed with her. And that's true. That's true for, some men. Proverbs 26 here, it says, King Solomon wrote, most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? That's Proverbs 20:6. And then he has a quote here that says, never define a man until you've tested his character. He has Matthew 7:15 here, said the Bible described me, but I didn't want to listen. Okay, Matthew 7:15 says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raving wolves. That's Matthew 7:15. It says, the evidence of my deceit is revealed in the fact that I was a teenage father before I was 16. This is R.C. Blakes. He was a teenage father before he was 16. I had more sexual encounters than I am comfortable sharing, and all of this was unfortunately accompanied by playing roles that young women wanted to see. They fell in love with the image before verifying the authenticity. Y'all, don't laugh at me. So that's why he put this quote here. It says, never define a man until you have tested his character. So, the church guy, listen to this. Obviously, this is a person who hangs around church and manipulates the emotions of women who are praying for a biblical husband. This guy will be in the sanctuary every Sunday and even go to Bible study. He aims to paint a portrait of propriety and godliness. The quote here says, the church guy plays on her desire for a Christian man. So women, for those of you church women, you can't even trust the church guy. You have to test his character, is what R.C. Blakes tells you here. He has different type of guys here. So the baller. This is a fella who usually drives a nice car and brags about how much money he makes. His specialty is fancy restaurants and maybe gifts. If he desires her bad enough, he plays the role to convince the gullible young woman that he will be a great catch that can provide the best things in life. The baller may even find the money to pay a few of her bills. Once he rescues a young woman from some financial hardship or spoils her, he moves in for the payoff. The baller, this is the quote. The baller guy preys on beautiful women who may be struggling financially. Mm. So when we go back earlier in the book, he says a woman must always be ready to earn her own money, right? Financially, you must be prepared and make your own way financially. I know what I'm trying to say, but it's just not coming out. Have your own money, women. Always have your own money. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Do whatever you got to do to have your own money. So if you get a man and he brings something to the table and you bring something to the table, then you're good. But if you go jump in this relationship, and not all men are like this, but it's very rare because we're not in the old days anymore. This is a different generation. So you don't want to jump into a relationship or a marriage and you don't have nothing and you have to depend on this man financially for everything. You never want to do that because you can set yourself up for failure. So always be prepared to make your own money. Be prepared to be set financially, is what I'm trying to tell you. So, the next one here, it says the captain kid. This individual observes the obvious fact that a woman has children. He likes what she sees. He likes what he sees. So he uses the kids as a fast track to the bedroom. He targets grocery stores, nursery schools, and any other venue where single moms may be frequent. He is probably the lowest of them all. He will use small dogs in the park or other people's babies to cast the impression that he is nurturing and caring. Captain Kid takes an interest in how beautiful, handsome, or smart your child is. He befriends a boy or girl, usually having a lollipop or other types of candy ready to hand them. Once he wins the child's heart and behaves like the ideal surrogate father for a while, this obliterates the young mother's sense of judgment. She is so enormed by how he affects her child, she wants to believe it is for real. Obviously, the guy has learned the fastest lane to the bedroom. Nothing moves a woman like people who love her kids, especially when it is a man and their other father doesn't even react this way. She gives him any and everything he asks for because she does not want him to leave her kid's life. Excuse me, y'all. Then one day, out of the blue, he finds a reason to break it off. Of all of the characters I have described, this guy is the most dangerous because he doesn't only break your heart, he will also hurt your children emotionally. He will do all the right things, and once he gets what he wants, will bail with no regard for how the children feel about losing the father figure. There's a quote here. It takes time to prove character. A woman should always take the slow track in relationships. Never become a desperate woman. Be God fearing and discerning. That's a word. That's a word, ladies. So that was chapter 10. So we just went over chapter 9 and 10. Now we're jumping into chapter 11. And it says, these steps. Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 11. 3 steps to how a man deceives a woman. 3 steps in how a man deceives a woman. So it starts off like this: as I have observed it in school, church, and in life. In general, most of the time, women are smarter than men. If you were to expose a male and female of equal intelligence to the same task, the woman will usually master the undertaking faster and more completely. Bearing it is not based purely on physical strength. This raises the question. So the question is, How do men get such an upper hand on women? How do men get such an upper hand on women? The answer is simple. Women talk too much. A man uses the woman's most common trait against her. He just lets her talk. In the process, the man learns details about the woman's desires, fears, dreams, passions, weaknesses, and or strengths, just by creating an environment for her to share her innermost thoughts. The main use of the dating concept, is to get to know about each other, to get to know each other, right? However, too often the man uncovers what he needs to know to manipulate the woman while she learns nothing about him. Why? Because she did all the talking. There's a quote here. The subliminal principle of dating is to gather data. So dating is for data. Remember that. Most women are so loose with facts and details that a man does not even need to physically meet them before discovering what they like, don't like, and what they hope for in a potential mate. A man can drill deep into a woman's mind by simply finding her on Facebook. We have all seen it. The lady who gives out too much information just in her profile name. For example, Mary really wants a Christian man who will go to church and tell her how much he loves her. Y'all seen these profile names, these women like this? Upon reading that, he browses through pictures and old posts to figure out what church she goes to, and then the game begins. In online social media, there are women who tweet everything they are feeling or going through. Why would a person express their intimate feelings to potentially millions of people who don't matter or care? It is emotional suicide. Keep your private thoughts to yourself or share them only with the people who really love you. That's some advice. That is some real advice there. There's a quote here. The object of the game is to press all the buttons that will elevate a woman's emotions and numb her capacity to think. So let me see. Do I have enough time to break down? Okay. In order for me to jump to number 12, I can't read the rest of this, but I'm going to tell you. He says there's 3 phases. As I've learned the game from older men in my life, there were basically 3 phases communicated. Allow me to share them with you. The first phase, he penetrates the woman's defenses through calculated conversations. I'm sorry, y'all. He penetrates the woman's defenses through calculated conversations. That's the first phase. And then it says here, it's a quote, women are moved by the right words at the right time. A woman manipulates a man with her body because he's moved by the physical. A man manipulates a woman with his words because she is emotional. And there's another quote here. The first woman was taken down by a calculated conversion. He's talking about the first woman, Eve. She was tricked by the serpent, Satan, right? So when he says the first woman was taken down by a calculated conversion, he's talking about Eve. A woman should never entertain a man who allows her to do all things. Wait, a man. Hold on, y'all. We gonna get it together. We gonna get it together. A woman should never entertain a man who allows her to do all the talking. At best, it's a sign of poor leadership skills on his part, but at worst, it is a setup. Phase 2. Phase 2. The man works to become the woman's emotional addiction. It says here, quote, addictions are created through overindulgence. It says first he overdoses her on the time spent. Second, he overdoses her on flattery. Listen to this, Daniel 11 and 32. It says, as it is written, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be. Hold on. Yeah, I'm so excited about getting this information to y'all. I can't get it out like I need to. Okay, I'm reading Daniel 11 and 32. It says, as it is written, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. Okay, so the spirit of the Antichrist comes to deceive, destroy, and pervert God's people. So the key ingredient to deception is flattery. The third thing the man does, he overdoses her with romance. So first, he overdoses her on time spent. The second thing he does, he overdoses her on flattery. And the third thing he does is he overdoses her with romance. There's a quote here. Once she submits to sex, she's exposed to everything and the dynamics before much more complicated. Once she submits to sex, she's exposed to everything and the dynamics become much more complicated. I hope y'all caught that. Okay, phase 3. He avoids making a real commitment. Proverbs 25 and 19 says, confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of a joint. There's a last quote here, and it says, he then fabricates a bogus reason to cut the cord and dump her. To avoid endless years of heartache, take the time to understand his deception. So that was chapter 11. Now we have made it to chapter 12. And the title for chapter 12 is Relationship Games and How They Are Played. Okay, so it says, let me see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. It says here, while I was in the process of writing the father-daughter talk, it came to me there are common everyday games that depict the emotional sport that men have made of dating. Some of the schoolyard and board games that children innocently play may have subliminally influenced how men think about their relationship with women. In my office, as I work on this book, my assistant came in for a second. We enjoyed looking at the similarities between a few popular childhood activities and the games grown men play. So the first game that he put up here was monkey bars. How many of y'all remember the monkey bars outside at recess time? Okay, so put in the comments if you remember the monkey bars. So it says here, when I was a child at Lafayette Elementary School in New Orleans, I loved to play on the monkey bars. It was a configuration of bars elevated off the ground. Each bar was laid out one in front of the other and 8 to 12 inches apart. The idea of the game was for the child to swing from one bar to the next in any direction of the child's choosing. You could swing forward, sideways, or backwards. Based on the concept of the schoolyard activity, we can see the same principles applied to how certain men mismanage their relationships with women. So the quote here, it says, when a guy constantly acts like he's letting go and doesn't want the relationship one moment, then calls the next as if nothing happened, he's playing monkey bars. He swings back and forth, in and out, up and down. This leaves the woman in a state of confusion, hanging in limbo, emotionally paralyzed, and not able to move on. This is intentional on the man's part. It is how, I'm sorry, it is his way of holding on and letting go at the same time. So the quote here, it says, sometimes a woman must take the choice for him. Instead of allowing a man to validate, shut him out of your life, even if it hurts for a while. Shut him out. You make the decision. Don't let him jump in and out of your life or put you on hold and have you waiting, like he said, paralyzed. Don't do that. So, no woman should allow a man to swing in and out of her life. No, no, ma'am. So the next game is the merry-go-round. This game is probably the schoolyard favorite of children around the world. I loved the merry-go-round when I was a kid. It is a fast and exciting ride that moves around and around in a circle. It gives the participants a fast and exhilarating rush while they actually go nowhere. This ride also mimics a certain game that men play with women. They take her on an emotional trip that has no destination. It's a fast moving approach filled with sex, money, promises of commitment, breakups, and makeups. Yes, yet they always end where they started, only to repeat the cycle over again. So there's a quote here, and it says, the object of the game is to move so fast the woman is constantly off balance. By the time they are through spinning you around, you realize after many years, you are still in the same place you started. So the next quote here, it says, a man who has good intentions will move fast enough for a woman to know he's serious and slow enough for her to see the progress. She will be comfortable with his moves. So, the next game that men play, Twister. This is a game that is played on the floor. It has a mat with various colored circles. Multiple people participate and spin a wheel to determine where the next move should be. Whatever color the arrow stops on, a foot or hand has to be placed on that color. The players get so twisted up that they can't see where one starts and the other ends. This too describes certain games that men play. So there's a quote here. The man will twist the woman up into an emotional ball of confusion with random acts of calculated kindness until she is lost in him. Mm. It says here, never let a man tie your life down until he has lovingly placed a ring on your finger. Ladies, until he has placed the ring on your finger. It is never a good idea to have babies with a man you are not married to. And you shouldn't live with a man who is not your husband. It is an unhealthy arrangement. So, the next game that men play, the sorry game. The object of the board game Sorry is to get one's entire set of pieces safely home. On the journey, there are other players who are trying to reach home as well. When the opponents encounter each other on the board, they bump each other back to square one. When they do this, they always have to say sorry. This speaks for itself. There will be men who do you no good because they have no goodness within them. The sole purpose is to selfishly have their way with a woman and string her along with a never ending series of apologies. There's a quote here. This represents the brother who serves no purpose in a woman's life other than to continuously knock her backwards and in the process have fits of remorse. It says here, he adds nothing and subtracts from every part of her life. Yet all he ever says is, I'm sorry. This individual can cry at the drop of a hat. He will dominate the conversation with emotional expression that can bring tears to the eyes of a police officer. He's smart, like a street psychologist who gets into your head. At some point, the woman should demand more than him on one knee with tears and screams of remorse. I knew it was coming, y'all. Excuse me. My allergies. Okay, and it says, be sure there are definite signs that he is really changing for the better. Mm. So there's another game here called the roller coaster. This is the last game he has here. This is a theme park favorite. The roller coaster is a main attraction with its twisted turns and rising and falling rails. It's a thrill ride designed to give one the experience of great highs and sudden lows. The rider never has a secure sense of being. Everything about it creates instability. So there's a quote here. The roller coaster guy sells the woman many thrilling dreams and pie in the sky hopes that go nowhere. This relationship fluctuates from extremely hopeful to depressingly uncertain. It's rarely a consistent and steady flow. Instead, it's bipolar. This guy is usually big on drinking and drugs. He excites the woman because he's fast moving and unpredictable. He stares a certain aspect of the woman's interest as he skates around her greater needs. He keeps the ride going so fast that there is rarely a settled moment to address the woman's real long term dreams. Eventually, she finds herself drained emotionally and broken psychologically. She hits a wall of depression. Oh, excuse me, y'all. She hits a wall of depression because she realizes that this ride is going nowhere. There's a quote here, and it says, every woman should understand. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Try to get through this. Every woman should understand that one of the greatest attributes in a man is stability and dedication. Fast rides can be dangerous and expensive. So that's the roller coaster. So let me go back through these. This is that has completed 12. Y'all give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, I apologize. My allergies just it always when I'm trying to record, it always messes with me for some reason. Okay. I want to go back through and make sure that y'all got all the games. The first one was the monkey bars. The second one was the merry-go-round. The third one was Twister. The fourth one was Sorry. And the last one was the roller coaster. So, just a rundown of the book. Uh, so it says here, this is from R.C. Blakes. It said, it is my prayer that you have been empowered by what you have read on these pages. And he wants us to take a moment to read over this. So the first one we learned was your dress code is your personal commercial. The second one we learned is that your value is not determined by a relationship with a man. The third one, never lay your body down for a man who has not laid his life down for you. The fourth one, never be with a man who makes you afraid. The fifth one, a woman must be prepared to earn her own money. The sixth one, most men will say anything for sex. The seventh thing we learn, when a man has a woman's body, he has her soul. The eighth thing we learn, a man will always settle with the woman he respects. The ninth thing we learn is understanding the games that men play. The 10th thing we learn is most men are actors playing a role. The 11th thing we learn, 3 steps to how the man deceives the woman. And lastly, we learn relationship games and how they are played. So he has something here. It says, God has a wonderful future prepared for you. I have embraced this subject and shared these principles with sincerity, passion, and dedication. It is my prayer that you, as a woman, will apply these teachings of this book so that the playing field will become level and the man God has chosen for you will come into your life. Please share these truths with as many young women as possible. It can save them from unnecessary turmoil and lead them into the marvelous future that the Lord has planned. So, we have just finished, y'all, the father-daughter talk. Woo! And our next book that we're going to be reading is Queenology. So, if you haven't got your book, go ahead and go and get your book, Queenology. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pray out. I know we have been on here for a minute. Father God, I come to you as humble as I know how. Lord, I ask that these women share this video and not only just hear what I have said, let them purchase the book and apply these truths to their lives, Lord. Lord, please, if there's women that may have faced this, Lord, let there be just a stepping stone, Lord, a lesson learned. And God, please bring the man that you have for them into their lives, Lord, to help them fulfill their purpose here on earth, Lord. And Lord, I just ask that you keep us no matter what's going on in this world, Lord. Please continue to keep us, continue to protect us, Lord, and provide for us, Lord. And continue to give us that godly discernment and the godly wisdom that we need to fulfill your purpose here on earth, Lord. Lord, I just thank you and I ask you to just keep us until we meet again, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I love y'all. Talk to y'all later. See y'all next Tuesday so we can talk about Queenology.